And welcome back to Subculture. Well, there is a brand new band out there that we want you to all know about. They are called Amber Wild, and they have been taking the club circuit in the US by storm. And of course, now they're hitting the festival circuit as well. They've just released their double A-side debut single, Breakout Silver. So we thought we would actually get Evan on the phone today to chat a little bit about Amber Wild. Welcome to the program, mate.
Thanks so much for having me. Stoked to be here.
Now, mate, tell us a little bit about Amber Wild. How did you put together this band? Because, of course, you are an amazing frontman. So how did you go about putting yourself around these magnificent musicians that form Amber Wild?
Well, thank you. About this time last year, I met Tommy, the drummer, Thomas Lowry, and I'd seen some videos of him playing, and I knew he was a ripping player, and we just met out by chance. We had a mutual friend and met at a diner, and thought we should play, so we jammed, and it just kind of clicked real quick. Even though it was early, there was something there for sure. And he knew Marsh, the other guitar player who sings great too, and Marshall Vi is just ridiculous. And so Tommy knew I always wanted another guitar player who could sing, so he just told Marsh where we were hanging out or where we were playing and everything, so Marsh just started showing up all the time. And, T had played with him before, and knew he was a great player, and they locked, so he kept saying, he's the guy. So after a couple of weeks, we sat down with guitars, and it just made sense. So it was like, all right, Marsh is the guy. And then we played a little bit out, and we needed to find the right bass player. We were playing with someone who was a good dude, but just not quite the right fit. And, we had gigs on the books, so we were kind of scrambling and texting everyone we knew, and my buddy Frank was like, I got this guy Jake you got to meet. And we met Jake, and it just fit perfect. He was great vibe, looks cool, plays great, and, good energy. It all made sense. I think we all complement each other well, and that was something we recognized early, is everyone kind of brings something different to the table, which I think really helps make, the total greater than the sum of the parts.
Definitely. So in those early days when you first sat down and started talking to the guys, what kind of things were spoken about the kind of sound that you guys wanted to have?
There wasn't much spoken about, just because I brought in a bunch of songs to start, and it kind of started with, hey, we all really want to play. We all love playing and love playing live, so it really started just because we wanted to play as much as we possibly could. Then, as we played more and more, it became clear what the band was good at and where we really shined and, what worked. So that kind of gave way to getting rid of a lot of songs and writing new stuff and coming up with stuff together. Kind of as we went, I think it was clear early there was a chemistry, but it took a little bit to figure out, okay, where does that really lie and what do we do the best? So over the next couple months, it was just figuring that out, and through that, we kind of weeded out what didn't work, and we're kind of just left with this works, let's do this but better. And then each show and each song we would try and really just hone in on what we think connects.
Definitely. What motivates your songwriting? Like, do you find yourself writing about how you're feeling at that time, or do you write about the world as a whole? What kind of things do you find really enhance you when you sit down to work on a new track?
I think it's different every time. Most of it, at least for me personally, it usually always starts with either something going on or something I'm seeing or experiencing or feeling, and then, you kind of run with it to make a song work. There's always embellishment, or, you might change things, but it usually always starts in a place of truth, and I'm sure the same is true for Marsh or T or Jake. I think it always starts, it's got to start with some kernel of truth, and then you can kind of go as far and wide as you want, but it starts with something that's real.
So talk us through that journey playing in the LA club circuit and then finally getting to play at Aftershock. What was that like for you? Did you feel nervous at all, or was it an excitement about finally being able to get this band out there and being noticed by people?
Oh, it was so exciting. We were really lucky where the first show we played in LA, we had a good amount of people out and some good musician friends, and so a lot of people were posting about it, and that helped us get more people to the next show and book the next. So we kind of just kept playing a lot of clubs off of that, and then we were able to land Aftershock, And actually, like a week before Aftershock, Andrew from Wolfmother texted me on like a Wednesday and was like, "What are you doing Friday? We're in town. Do you want to play?" It's like, "Yeah, for sure. I love Wolfmother," and that was so cool. So, we went from a bunch of clubs and like little clubs. I'm talking, places where we have power surge plugged into power surge plugged into power surge, and all the amps dangling off of that, hoping they don't blow, to like getting to open for Wolfmother, and then getting to play Aftershock, and then getting to go out with Kiss, all within the span of like a month. That was less than a month.
Yeah.
So it was really crazy to go from like last week I was getting shocked by the mic every time I got too close, and now, we're opening up for a band I grew up listening to, and then we got our first festival, and we played early. We were on at noon, but there were people there, and like as we played, more and more people kept showing up, and no one was leaving. It was like, what? Really? Like, we believe in what we do, and we love what we do, but it's still surreal when you get to experience something like that. And then 10 days later, we're on a plane to go open for Kiss, which was just, absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Now, being an Aussie, I have to ask, where did your love for Wolfmother come from?
My buddy Justin. So I started playing guitar. I can't discount. I grew up seeing my dad all the time, and I'm sure that had an impact on me, no doubt. But what really set me over the edge was I was hanging out with my buddy Justin, and he was like, "Check this out." And he whipped out an acoustic and played Smells Like Teen Spirit. And I wasn't even really into Nirvana, but I knew the song, and the fact that my best friend could play a song that we knew was just mind-boggling to me. I was like, oh my God, like I gotta do that. That's the coolest thing ever. And I was about 10 or 11 then. And that summer, that was, I don't know when exactly, sometime in the school year. And that summer we were on a trip together, and he was like, he had the CD, and he's like, I found this really cool new band. And he started playing, it was Wolfmother's first record. And I was like, oh man, it blew my mind, because it was like just non-stop, riff after riff, killer song after killer song. So it just really got me. I was like right at that age too, and I was just starting to discover music independent of my parents. And it was just the coolest shit. So to this day, I mean, I know all those riffs.
Yeah.
Every time I pick up a guitar, it's like, so that was really, really cool and a little extra special for me, because like that's kind of what got me going. One of the bands, one of the big influences early on that got me really playing.
Your memories of them are a lot like mine. I remember when Wolfmother first burst onto the scene here in Australia. It was back when I was working on a television show as a music journalist, and one of the other journalists came into our offices one day and said, "You've got to have a listen to this band." And she had a demo CD which just had Mother on it, the track Mother, and she played it.
Yeah.
And everybody in the office just sat there and went, "Whoa, who are these guys?" Like, it was just one of those things where it was a bit of a bland time in Australian music, and she played this track, and we just instantly fell in love with them. So, yeah, our memories of the band are very, very similar.
Yeah, it's they're just one of those bands that's they're powerful. You hear it, and you're like, all right, I'm in.
Now, you mentioned about opening for Kiss as well on the End of the Road tour. That must have been mixed emotions for you, because on one hand, it was exposing your music to a much wider audience and getting to play big shows, but at the same time, it was your dad's band coming to a close in a sense. How did that make you feel emotionally?
I mean, that was such an amazing opportunity for us, and so cool. And the thing is, a lot of people forget, being given that kind of opportunity. At the end of the day, the fans and the audience are the people who really decide if something works or doesn't. So our real concern going into that was making sure we were really on our shit and as tight as we could be, with as banging of a set as we could have. And, we spent a lot of time really, really focusing on that and dialing it in. So I didn't really have time to think about the rest, because I would say primary thought, my only thought was, we got to go out there and make sure we show people that it's not Paul's Kids band, that, we're here, obviously, like, It didn't find us on SoundCloud or anything. You know, we got a connection there, but we had to make sure we went out and showed people that, hey, like, we deserve your ears. Give us 30 minutes. Listen, you know, and like that's something that, especially with that audience, Kiss has spent 50 years delivering unbelievable shows and songs relentlessly to people that has built up that trust and that love for them. You know, that took half a century. So that devotion is something that not a lot of bands have. And getting up in front of that audience before Kiss played is like, hey, these people spent their money and their time to see a Kiss show, and then you walk out and you're not Kiss. So it's like, all right, you better go up and give them everything you have. So I was so concerned with that, and so were the guys that, you know, it didn't really set in until part of the way through the tour. And it was amazing, though. So to get to share that with my dad was killer, especially those last nights. You know, they were Kiss's last shows ever at the Garden, last shows ever in New York, and they were our first shows in New York ever. So that was a really cool, really special moment for all of us, but especially for me to get to share with my dad. That was, you know, something I'm never going to forget, and I'm so happy we got to experience together.
Definitely. You mentioned before about not wanting to be seen as Paul's kids' band. What have been? I don't know how to word this question, but let me try. So, how do you shake off that tag? I mean, we have a very famous case here in Australia where an Aussie rules footballer, his dad was great, and then the son came onto the scene and started playing football, and everybody would always compare him to his dad, even though he was an entirely different player, played in a different position and everything. How do you overcome that, and how do you make a name for yourself without that tag?
Well, you know, I'm working on it now. I think I hate this word because everyone uses it so much, but like, blessed is an understatement. I've had an amazing life, and I have two really great parents who have always been there for me. You know, I'm really proud of my dad. I love what he does. I think it's super cool. So when I say Paul's Kids Band, I'm proud to be Paul's son for sure, by all means. I have no problem with that. I'm super happy with it. But in terms of these shows in particular and just in general, you know, I think it's very easy to write off any son or daughter of as, oh, they got there because of that. And while for sure we definitely got that gig because of that, you know, there's no denying. My dad and Gene and all of them, they're harsh critics. You know, they saw some clips where they're like, hey, this is legit. You should come open for us. And for them to ask meant the world because I know they don't bullshit. Yeah. And then on top of that, it's like, okay, we got their approval. Now we got to go out and get the fans' approval. That's the hard one. So, you know, I don't think there's anything to do other than to just do it. You know, this is what I love doing and what we love doing more than anything. And all we can do is do us as best we can. And, you know, hopefully it connects with people. We've been really lucky to see that so far. It really has. And that's, I think, all you can do. It's not about not being someone's kid. It's about being your own person. And I think, you know, that's certainly a part of me, but it's just a part. And, you know, it's not a part I'm trying to hide or a part I'm ever trying to get rid of, but it's something that I'm very keen to show. And the whole band is that, like, hey, we're really proud of what we do and we'll go up against anybody out there, you know, no question, because we love what we do and we believe in it.
Definitely. Now, talking about the two singles, Breakout and Silver, tell us a little bit about these tracks. What are they about? And tell us a little bit about that songwriting process for both of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think those both came really quick and really almost out of necessity, you know, filling holes in a set slot or, you know, just a period of, damn, I feel this and got to get it out somehow. So you're right about it, you know. It was, both of those also got recorded kind of last minute. Silver was a song we had played maybe once or twice live. It was brand new, and Tommy and I were at the studio, and we were finishing up this other song that there's just something about it that, like, wasn't clicking. You know, it was hooky, it was good, but it just wasn't quite it. And we were like, let's just play for a sec, and our buddy Clay, whose studio we were at, heard us kind of messing around with silver. He's like, "What is that? We should track that." And I was like, "Cool, let's do it." And we kind of banged that out over a couple days, and then Breakout, was a similar situation. Maybe 3 weeks later, a month later, we really needed a set opener, and we were working away on stuff, and I had this idea, and I brought it in, and it was close, but not quite done, and we banged it out over at Tommy's. Marsh T and I kind of just went at it until it worked, and I sent a voice note of that to my dad, and he was like, "Hey, this is heavy." He's like, "This is really cool. You want to go in the studio? I have a couple ideas." And it was like, "For sure." So that's how that came about, and they were both last minute. Like, we didn't actually even really plan to record either one. It just kind of happened, and when it, came time to release, granted, these got recorded really, really shortly before we had to release them, but it just made sense. That kind of encapsulated where we were at the moment, and the far edges of it, because I think both of those songs really sound like us, but they're two sides of the same coin. If you hear both of them, you'll kind of, at least at the moment, have an idea of where we're coming from and where most other songs are going to fit in.
Definitely. And now we're going to play both tracks on our show in just a moment, but for our listeners out there, where to now for the band? What are you guys hoping to do? Are you hoping to tour some more, record some more? Is there an album or an EP on the way? What are the plans?
All of the above, man. I mean, we love playing more than anything. We love recording and writing and playing more than anything. That's the greatest feeling on the planet, is getting out there and showing people what you do and connecting with people on that level. So we have a lot more music coming in the new year and a lot more shows, and hoping we can get to Australia soon, because I've only heard rave reviews and I've never been, and neither of the guys.
Well, we would welcome you here with open arms, mate. We're about to play the two tracks right now, so what would you like to say to our listeners out there before they sit down and get their first taste of Amber Wild?
I don't know you, but I love you. Thanks for the support, and hopefully we get your ears on both songs, and hope you dig them.